we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May we have roll call to confirm we have a legal meeting with quorum? Sure.
Mr. Suggs?
Present.
Dr. Woods?
Present.
Dr. McLeod?
Present.
Mr. Johnson?
Present.
And I am present. All are present.
With a meeting with all 5 members present, we have quorum and a legal meeting. Let's move on to item number 2 on our agenda, and that would be the approval of tonight's agenda. I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
May I have a second? Second. Been moved and properly second. Is there any discussion on tonight's agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda has been approved. Let's move to item number 3. Chelsea, Gary, ready snapshots, please?
Good evening,
Good evening.
school board members, Dr. Stokes, and this amazing community, both in person and virtually. For those of you who are attending your very first school board meeting, I'd like to share with you that we have a special part of the program each month called Gary Snapshots. This is the time where we're able to share good news, updates, and all types of positive things that are happening in the district. So shall we begin? The first thing we want to talk about is the launch of the Literacy Initiative. Our First Lady, Crystal Melton, came over to the district and assisted with the training of our first cadre of volunteers. As we know, literacy is the foundation by which our children learn everything else. And so we are ramping up a partnership with the First Lady, and she is actively seeking volunteers to read to our young people on a consistent basis throughout the district. Later in the school board meeting, Dr. Cynthia Treadwell, our Chief Academic Officer, will elaborate further on this initiative, what the outcomes are going to be, and how individuals can get involved in this newly launched initiative. The First Lady has not joined us, but should she join us, we certainly want to acknowledge her, and we can give her a round of applause at this time just for this partnership that we are so looking forward to moving on.
Ms. Whittington?
Yes.
Let's see if we have any of the other members, are they present?
Are there any other participants of the Literacy Initiative here? So would you please stand? Oh, thank you. We'd like to give you all a round of applause as well.
We can have them come up if they want to say a word.
Yes, I'd love to invite them up because we well know their impact in the community. Mrs. Kelly? I am not familiar with one of the young ladies, so we'll ask that you introduce yourself, and then we have Mrs. Jocelyn Kelly, owner, proprietor, and visionary of Jay's Breakfast Club.
Good evening. I received a call and I said yes. I think it is very important for our students to see what they could potentially grow to be, being a proud product of the Gary Community School Corporation, graduates of Wallace High School. It is my responsibility, duty, and privilege to participate in such a program like this, and I would encourage others to take time to come and participate as well. Thank you.
Hello and good evening. For those of you that do know me, hi again. And for those that don't, my name is Latrice Farmer. I am a longtime Gary resident. I've done a lot of work in digital marketing, branding, and I pretty much work for myself. I am always interested in literacy. A lot of times we think really big on how we need to fix things, but sometimes you just need to read a book to somebody. And I think that looking at it that way, we'll tackle a bigger problem. I think that, we'll be able to solve a lot of these issues with the scores just by starting out and seeing where some of the gaps are. And I'm so happy that, I was able to be a part of supporting that. Thank you.
I stand corrected. I do remember you now, Ms. Farmer. So great to see you. And there are many others who have been and will be participating, so we look forward to Dr. Treswell's presentation with more details. But there's more great news to share. Please mark your calendars for Monday, March 17th. We are having our third installment of Listen and Learn, but with a twist. This time we have implemented both an enrollment and career fair. So there's a dual purpose in that you can enroll your child in the Gary Community School Corporation, and you can also explore opportunities to join our amazing team as an employee. We have more than 60 opportunities listed at garyschools.org, and so on Monday from 3:15 to 5:15, we are inviting our community to come out and apply for these positions, as well as make your intent known for your child to return to this next school year and or enroll your child newly with all of our representatives from every school in the district that will be there. And then there's the good part. At the conclusion of the enrollment and career fair, we will recess for light refreshments over into the cafeteria, where you will get the opportunity to meet our entire leadership team led by our superintendent, Dr. Yvonne Stokes. We will make presentations about updates that are taking place in our individual departments, and then we will have a question and answer period as well as a meet and greet. So it's a robust agenda, but with purpose, again, bringing the community in. As a side note, I am just getting off the highway from Lafayette, Indiana, where I attended a teacher recruitment fair. And we have a lot of young people who are coming out of the schools who are ready to be teachers, and we let them know that only the best and brightest will be welcomed into our district. And so this is an offshoot of those types of initiatives that we are doing. So we ask the community to please share this information. We have flyers on the table upon your departure to let people know that we are hiring, we are enrolling, and we are growing and thriving. Listen and learn. Next up, who doesn't love a nice repeat? The students of Westside Leadership Academy have retained their title as champions of the Steel City Knowledge Bowl. I was there along with my good colleague, Mr. Jeffrey Smith, who hosted the Steel City Knowledge Bowl, which is held at Indiana University Northwest. And our students came prepared and represented the district well. There's a traveling trophy involved, but as you know, the trophy need not travel. It stays right at Westside Leadership Academy. So I'd like to congratulate Carl Scott, all the sponsors, and the young people who are part of that team. Many of them were freshmen last year. They're sophomores now. So we're just gonna claim a three-peat for next February. But definitely do a Google search and also check our social media platforms, in that there was an abundance of media coverage around this event, and even one national hit as our children were featured in Rolling Out magazine. Can we give them another round of applause? Westside Leadership Academy. Travel back, if you will, for us band members. One of the highlights of our high school careers are professional competitions, where we get the opportunity to interface with other high schools from across the state and showcase our talents. Well, Westside Leadership Academy students participated in the ISMA competition, which is the Indiana State Music Association competition, and they brought back the gold in certain categories. And I'd like to invite to the podium my colleague, Mr. DeAndre Teamer Sr., who is our band instructor, plays every instrument in the band. He is an HBCU graduate, and he is a member of the musical fraternity and so much more. I had a chance to talk to him, and we reminisced on our show, A Day in the District, where he talked about how passionate he is about leading these young people downstate and showcasing their talents. And then I think we have a special presentation from our young people thereafter. Please welcome Mr. DeAndre Teamer, Sr.
Greetings, everyone, to the board, Dr. Stokes. I just want to first thank you all for this opportunity. Secondly, it's been a pleasure being here in Gary, back home, born and raised, giving back to the community. I've been at Westside since 2019, and it's been a journey. I got a lot of kids scholarships to universities, of course, historically black colleges and universities as well as the predominantly white institutions. My goal is to just build the program here, bring band back to Gary. I'm pretty sure if you are a Gary native, you were under Dr. Carter, Ms. Dillon, Mr. Streets, Mr. Ray Phillips, so many different legends that are still with us and those who have transitioned. It is my pleasure to present to you all a flute trio that 3 of my students have performed at ISMA. They brought back a gold medal. Each of them also have their own individual gold medal for their solo that they did as well. So I hope you all enjoy it, and again, thank you all for the opportunity.
Excuse me for just one moment. I want to make an announcement. There is a gray Dodge pickup that is parked in a no parking zone. It's a possibility that it will be towed. If you have a gray Dodge pickup, please move it at this time. Thank you. I would love for you all to come and just introduce you all's names and grade, and tell them just a little bit about your experience in band.
Hello, my name is Natalie Packard, and I'm in 11th grade, and I really like band.
And I'm in 10th grade. I really like band too. It's been an awesome experience.
Hi, my name is Alicia Thomas. I'm a 10th grader, and I could definitely say my experience in band has been fun. I want to play more instruments, and I think I'm going to.
Another round of applause. Soon these school board meetings will be standing room only, Dr. Stokes. As a former first chair Westside band member, class of 1944, I applaud you all to see that this legacy is still going. We are so proud of you. Mr. Suggs, I'm all done. It's back over to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4 on our agenda is item for public comments. Mr. Johnson, would you read the comment information statement?
Sure. Pursuant to IC Indiana Code 5-14-1.5-3, the Gary Community School Corporation Board of Trustees welcomes comments from the community. As a result, the agenda for each regular meeting provides time for public expression. This period of public expression is limited to 3 minutes per individual and 30 minutes total discussion of items on the agenda or to express concerns relative to the operation of school setting, school board actions, and other items of general educational interest. If there are many people wishing to address the board, we may limit the amount of time a person may speak. Comments shall be directed to the board, not to individual board members. Statements shall not be abusive or argumentative. Persons making comments shall not debate statements made by other persons. It shall not be permissible to orally present or discuss complaints against individual employees of the Gary Community School Corporation at any Board of School Trustees meetings. Issues relating to personnel, individual circumstances, or an individual school will be referred to the building principal or an appropriate administrator in an attempt to resolve the issue prior to an appeal before the board. The speaker cannot transfer the remaining time to another person. The board president will enforce these rules and may take actions necessary to maintain order at the meeting. Such actions may include, but are not limited to, interrupting the speaker if the statement is too lengthy, unduly repetitive, or otherwise violates the rules. The president may terminate the address of any speaker who violates these rules. Limit the total amount of time devoted to public comments if there's a large number of people wishing to address the board, or if there's a large agenda of other business before the board.
Thank you, sir. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce the name. Kiara Jones?
Yeah, but,
Close?
yeah.
Kiara, thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Kiana Jones, parent of Glen Park Academy, recent parent of a Westside graduate who is now at Howard University. To get him there, I was a very involved parent. Went out on Thursday nights and fed the football team, came back on Friday, made sandwiches, made them at home, fed them. It took parent involvement. We do not have that at Glen Park. I have spoke with principals, teachers, the parent liaison, and everybody sends me to somebody else. I just want a PTA started at Glen Park. That's all I'm asking for. I need help getting this done. Thank you.
Blake Swihart?
Good evening, board, Dr. Stokes. My name is Blake Swihart. I work with Indiana Landmarks, a historic preservation nonprofit. I work with Miss Eunice Trotter in the Black Heritage Preservation Program. We're involved in the Gary Roosevelt development and property inventory at the school. I'm just here to lend my support for the approval of item 6.2 on the agenda tonight for the air quality assessment that we're requesting done at the property. This would greatly assist our efforts in having volunteers in the building safely, and also when and if we get to the point to bring potential developers in, it would be really beneficial to know that the air is clean and safe to walk around, and if it's not, how to mitigate exposure to any harmful mold or anything else in the property. So I'm just here to lend my support, thank the board and the school district for all their help so far, and any questions or anything, please send them back to Indiana Landmarks. Thank you.
Robert Buggs?
Good evening, board. Dr. Stokes, Robert Buggs. I have 2 or 3 things I want to talk about. One is there's a teacher that her name is Levi Eder Smith that taught for the Gary Community School Corporation for 60 years. And I suggested that they give us some kind of recognition, and I was told that other people have had that much time also. But I was asking for her since I got a chance to meet her, and I think it's a disgrace to say, well, we have others too. Well, acknowledge all of them. Anybody that teach for the Gary Community School Corporation for over 50 years should be acknowledged. The other thing is, I've been getting FOIA requests for public records since 2018. This is the first time that I've been charged to get copies. It's not like I get hundreds and hundreds of copies. And I was advised that only here it says 10 cents per copy, but it says that ATC, Alcohol Tobacco Commission, charges 10 cents per copy. So it just doesn't look good that I'm asking for copies and all of a sudden, after all of this time, I have to pay. I don't mind paying, but it's just the thought of it. Why now? Is it because I'm asking for something that the school don't want to give me and this is a way of punishing me or something? I don't like that. The other thing is, one of my FOIA requests, this board has voted not to hear expulsion cases. What you are doing, board, is denying due process to a student that's being expelled. Your handbook says that there's a process that you may go through, and part of that process is you go through the chain of command, and the last one being the board. But now, if you all have voted not to hear an expulsion, then you deny the process of a student that's been, and I know 2 students that have been illegally expelled. So you all are condoning that. And I brought it to your attention before. This is wrong. Every student has a right to due process if he's going to be expelled. Now we talk about what the white people do to the black people, but look what the board is doing. You're denying a young man, a woman, a right to have due process. That is wrong. And I'm here to officially tell you that that is wrong. And also the charging for the 10 cents for, you also look like you try to run the public away, discourage them from being a part of the process. Thank you.
Bruce Curry.
First of all, thank you. I'd like to say to the public, glad to see everybody here, parents, teachers, security, and the board, and Ms. Stokes. First of all, I just want to let you know there has been excellent cooperation with the community. I've talked to my members constantly at our NAACP meetings, and we have been strongly supporting each other. Right now, it's a time that education is under attack. And I think you see it. You see it in the news everywhere. We have to be together. We got to work the issues that are about the students. Students first. That's what we got to do. I lived through a time where there was no school board. It was done by the state, but it was in the 50s. Again, 9 girls integrated to school in Arkansas. Right now, we are under attack, so we can't be fighting each other. We have to work together. We did that on Bill 1136. I want to compliment Ms. Yvonne Stokes and Dr. Stokes for her note and for the collaboration meetings we had with the community to say that when Gary now can keep going with his public school. We can talk to the community about increasing the enrollment. We want all the students in Gary to go to the Gary's big school, whatever that is, which is West Side now, and we want that. You got to put the word out because there's enough economic development coming back to Gary that we need these students in the future. I was at NSBE, 15,000 student run convention in Chicago. They had pre-college initiatives and other things going on, and our students in Gary, they know about Gary. Strong in STEM. I think Bailey STEM and all that. So we have to keep that going because right now, there's a project the mayor had the other day called Building a Convention Center, building hotels. Who you think is going to be doing that? It's our kids in 3 categories. One being kids going to college, kids getting skilled trade, could be military support. So, and that gets us into the security area. So all I'm encouraging, we must support each other. I know Dr. Vanessa McLeod has a list. Everybody in this room needs to sign that list because we got to get these quick wins in Gary as far as economic development, seeing buildings go up. It's about our students. So all the little nonsense, I heard that, I was just sitting back about a pencil, a pen. I'll let him use my copy. He's gone now. But I'm gonna let you know, we can't be talking about that kind of stuff. We need to, I'm sorry, my time is up. Thank you.
We will move on.
Oh, my name is Bruce Curry, NAACP, retiree from Johnson Johnson in Clarkson County. Thank you.
We will move on to item number 5 on our agenda, consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 5.1 through 5.5.
I'll second.
The motion on the floor and properly second to approve consent agenda items 5.1 through 5.5. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, may I have roll call for approval, please?
Mr. Suggs,
Yes.
Dr. Woods,
Yes.
Dr. McLeod,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
and I say yes, the vote is 5-0.
With a vote of 5-0, the motion carries. We will move on to the introduction of Director of Curriculum and Assessment, Mrs. Whittington.
Good evening once again, members of the board, Dr. Stokes, and the community. This is also another great part of the school board meetings when we're able to introduce another great member of our team. So please allow me to welcome our Director of Curriculum and Assessment, Dr. Renita Craig. Dr. Craig is a seasoned educational leader with 27 years of experience in various leadership roles, including a junior high principal, an elementary principal, an assistant principal, special education director, and high school special education teacher. She's a recognized transformational leader, and she has successfully driven culture and climate improvements in multiple schools. She specializes in staff development, school-wide behavior management, team building, and fostering strong connections with parents and the community at large. Her expertise also extends to curriculum development and instructional leadership, ensuring high-quality, inclusive learning experiences that meet the diverse needs of our students. I could go on, but I'd like to add that she holds a doctorate in educational leadership from the University of St. Francis, a master's in educational leadership from Concordia University in Chicago, and a bachelor's degree in special education from Eastern Illinois University. And beyond her professional endeavors, she enjoys singing, fitness, walking, and running, and she's the proud mother of 2 daughters, Imani and Jordan, as well as a devoted grandmother to her grandson, Cameron. Please join me in welcoming my new colleague, our new team member, Director of Curriculum and Assessment, Dr. Renita Craig.
Good evening, Dr. Stokes. Good evening, School Board of Education. Thank you so much for this opportunity to work for Gary Community School Corporation. I want to thank Dr. Treadwell. It's been a pleasure getting to know you so far, and I am very much so looking forward to working underneath your leadership and your tutelage. I am very excited to fulfill the position and the role of Director of Curriculum and Assessment. I am so excited to use my skills, my strengths, and my abilities to be able to work alongside Dr. Treadwell to create a curriculum that is very strong for our district to increase our student achievement, and also something that our students will be able to enjoy as well. So thank you very much.
Item 6 on our agenda, action items. Item 6.1, Mr. Richards.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Stokes, and to the community members that are here today. I would like to call your attention to the UKG HR Service Delivery application and platform, which we are asking for approval for the contract, approval of the signing of the contract to upgrade our workforce and time management system for from Novatime to UKG. So currently we're using Novatime, which is going to, the software Novatime is going to expire June 30th of this year, and that will in fact, it will stop the tracking of employee work hours, attendance, and payroll. And also in 2018, we started using Novatime. So now UKG has brought out Novatime, and it will now become obsolete and incompatible. So in that case, we will face extreme pain points. And the incompatibility will affect the HR's ability to track attendance and definitely affect the accrual information of both finance and payroll. This will not only affect the portions of finance and payroll, but it will also trickle down to manual processes between the attendance of payroll. One person will have to do manual processing and put in 645 records per pay period. And not only that, but the teachers will have to either sign in via clock, via laptop, or via just a regular piece of paper. Okay. So the district looked at 3 platforms to resolve this problem. Lao, which is one, but Lao quoted just a little bit too much out of the budget. On top of that, it had integration issues. And thirdly, it was not cloud-based. Frontline came along and gave a better solution, but it did not have the full payroll management levels that we needed. And so it also was not budget friendly, and then we would have had to have a third party to integrate the Frontline application with all the applications in the district. UKG, on the other hand, brought us to what we need, which is the company that brought out Novatime. So number one, it gives us a 30% employee monthly cost savings. Secondly, it collaborates with the GCS's finance software Lao, and then the time clocks align with industry standards, and it includes fingerprint and verification. Okay, so we're requesting that the board approve the UKG contract for GCSC's workforce and timekeeping system. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, board members? Seeing no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the UKG contract.
Motion on the floor, may I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on this matter? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And I say yes as well.
With a vote of 5-0, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 6.2 on our agenda, Ms. Trotter.
Got a little ahead of myself, apologize. Ms. Trotter is not able to be here tonight, so I'm speaking on her behalf, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the contract.
Or any, sorry.
I know that you shared during the time when you were able to give public comments. Can you just share a little bit for sake of record keeping?
Sure.
About this proposal that you're asking for?
So we are requesting again for environmental study, a basic environmental study here at Roosevelt High School. to better understand if there are any needs for air quality mitigation throughout the building. As many of you probably know, there's a lot of material, paper material, fabric, and the building's been closed for a long time without any HVAC or air quality checking since the building was closed. So I've been in there several times, and in the cold and in the warm weather, and it's definitely probably mold in some places, definitely in the lower levels. And then since we're going to be moving a lot of material around, it's very important that any of our volunteers or potential developers, understand if we need PPE or any other protections to make sure people are kept safe.
And I understand, based on the proposed contract, that there is no charge to Gary Community Schools Corporation.
That's my understanding as well.
Thank
Yes.
you.
What process will you utilize to do this environmental assessment?
That's a good question. I don't know the absolute details of the type of testing that will be done. From what I've been told, it is a very high-level air quality testing. They're not going to be taking cores or samples or anything like that, just to see if it's safe, to make sure it's safe to be in there breathing the air, since it's not being actively circulated.
Thank you. Board members, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion on this item.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Yes, Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And I say yes as well.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 against, the motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item 6.3, Mr. Caldwell.
Good evening, board, Dr. Stokes and community. Before you this evening on the agenda, we have 2 contracts, one for fire service monitoring and one for burglar alarm monitoring. And how these came about were we were notified by DLGF, which is the Department of Local Government Finance, that a new requirement came about starting in January 2025 that requires us to upload our burglar alarm contract and our fire service monitoring contract into the gateway system. With that, we sat down with our current vendor for fire service and burglar alarms, which is American Eagle. We got some new contracts drafted and signed by them. And the DLGF did give us an extension to get this uploaded into the gateway system. So at this time, I would request board approval for the 2 contracts for American Eagle.
So moved. Second.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I wanted to interject. He is actually covering 6.3 and 6.4.
Yes.
Motion on the floor to approve the burglar and fire alarms. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion on this motion? The contract, the length of time of the contract?
They're 3-year contracts, and there is no increase to the fee. The fees remain the same for all the buildings.
Thank you. Any additional discussion on this matter? May we have roll call for approval, please?
Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
I say yes as well.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 against, the motion carries to approve the fire alarm for the burglar system, the alarm system for the burglar and fire systems. Thank you. Item 6.5, field conference experience.
So basically, we are asking the board if they will approve experiences that we believe are important so that our staff are able to develop their skill sets to better service our students. You have a document in the back of your page, the very last page, that lists some of the field experiences that we are proposing.
Thank you. I'd like to ask board members, do you have any questions on the experiences listed? Hearing no questions, may we have a motion, please?
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second to accept the field experience and approve those experiences. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And I say yes as well.
With a vote of 5 in favor and 0 against, the field experience has been approved. Thank you. Item 6.6, Dr. Stokes, please.
Yes, thank you. All right, as you know, we bring what we call the administration templates. The 1000 series deals with administrative information. It is similar in many fashions to some of the information that we brought you that dealt with our teachers. However, we have to do by law a first reading and a second reading. This is our second reading, and might I add, this is our last policy series that we need to bring. And in the future, we will just bring revisions of which one I actually have to date. We will bring revisions according to Indiana Code as it is being revised. And we will then start working on administrative guidelines. With that being said, we've listed again the administrative policies, and if there's any particular policy that you see on the screen that you would like me to explain or expand upon, I'd be glad to do that at this time. If not, I want to go ahead and move to the next policy and then ask you to approve 6.6 and 6.7 with one vote, or if you choose to separate out. 6.7, this policy actually is a modification request of our finance policy 6325, which deals with federal grant funds and what we call micro purchases. During an audit of which many of our board members were present for the findings, in that particular audit finding, they asked that we increase what we call the micro purchases from 10,000, which is what the board had approved, to 50,000. So we're asking at this time to modify an already approved board policy to the threshold up to $50,000. With that being said, I yield back to the board for approval.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. I'd like to ask the board members if they have any questions on item 6.6 or 6.7. I will entertain a motion for approval of those two policies, 1000 series and the finance policy, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve 6.6 and 6.7.
So a motion on the floor, may I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion on the motion? May we have roll call to approve the motion on the floor to approve 6.6 and 6.7?
Yes, Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And I say yes as well.
With a vote of 5 yes and 0 against, the administrative policy and finance policies have been approved. Thank you. Item 7 on our agenda, information items. I'd like to call Mr. Richards back up, please.
Thank you again, board and Dr. Stokes and community members. Today, I would like to recall your attention to the last board meeting that we had where we discussed the TCSC Wide Area Network project. We talked about having a cost savings for the internet, and after being in the district for a while here now, for about 3 weeks. Seems like a while, huh? Let's say. But I got a chance to understand the internet a little bit better than I did when I first came. So we'll go to the next slide. We could build a more secure and more reliable network by retaining 2 internet connections as opposed to 1. And so if you look at where our egress points are, one is at Williams, one is at Glen Park. And if you look at the lines, the 2 lines are coming into the managed land. If one network internet line is compromised by storm or by a vendor pulling cables or wires, we can still reroute the internet package over to a different location. This will allow students to continue to use their Chromebooks. It will avoid downtime in the district. Also, it will is better for redundancy and fail-safe protection. The voice over IP, the phones will continue to work, as well as the cameras and things like that. Also, it would increase bandwidth, and so if you look at those two lines, that's like a traffic lane. And so if we only have one, that means that all traffic goes to this one lane. But as we retain two, traffic is divided up into these two lanes, which I call freeway lanes, which will allow processes to flow even quicker, okay? And then for cybersecurity protection, if one line is hit by malware, it can reroute to an alternate route, and therefore we won't be down. We'll still be working while we restore the other line. And then also expansion for technology. If we have to go to hybrid learning, you never know when we may have another COVID season or something like that. We can still use both internets for, for e-learning, and also it's compatible with, compliant with E-rate for funding, for grant funding, and also it's compliant with the state and federal regulations, also Civil for Children's Internet and Protection Act. Next one, please. So the request for approval. Given these critical factors, I respectfully request board approval to retain both internet service connections to maintain educational and operational efficiency at GCSC. And as Dr. Stokes says, we are in the business of educating children, and we need two internet lines to continue to educate them well.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. Any questions for Mr. Richards? Yes, sir.
I do have a question. I appreciate the visual. And so my question is, this is two new internet lines, or there was only one line before?
No, the goal was to, for cost savings, to combine the two lines, but we have two internet lines now, so the request is to retain the two.
Can I interject real quick? This isn't really a request, it's more of information, because we already have the ability to do it. We actually had it. It's just that we had a previous leader and he was right in his vision, but you have a different vision. So we want to be able to honor your vision and let the board know we want to retain the two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's automatic available?
Yes.
Any additional questions?
I don't have a question, I have a comment.
Yes.
But we are not planning on having another COVID experience.
I agree with you. I just sit on edge with these things.
No, I think it's a good plan. I would do the same thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. We'll move on to item 7.2 now. Ms. Wright?
Good evening, board, superintendent, and the community. I'm here to provide you all with an overview of our 1065. As you all may know, in 2015, the General Assembly provided the Gary School Corporation with an interest-free loan from the Common School Fund. So from October 15th to October 28th, we had 9 Common School loans, and those loans were used primarily for our vendor payments, payrolls, and insurance payments. In 2020, the principal balance was approximately $25 million. At that time, House H 1065 allowed the Gary Community School Corporation to use those redirected payments for our capital projects. Each payment we were scheduled to pay would have come out of our state tuition or our tax revenue, and that amount was $454,808, and I believe it was 62 cents. So they allowed those monthly payments to be redirected to be allowed for our capital projects. Some of our capital projects which were broken down into 7 phases, were pretty much HVAC, plumbing, air conditions, so capital projects. So as of July 1st, 2024, the 1065 balance was $5.1 million. So we had spent $20 million from 2024 to 2020 to 2024. So with the remaining $2.27 million, we still have some projects in place. As you all know, on October 8th, I talked about the West Side bathrooms. Those bathrooms are in progress. They're being renovated as we speak now. I was in the building the other day, and those bathrooms are coming along pretty well. So we have about $1 billion still allocated for those bathrooms. As I talked about before, LED lighting, we're almost complete with LED lighting inside and outside of all the buildings. So we pretty much have a balance of $109,000. We have $50,000 allocated to the West Side doors. We have some doors that were compromised, and we're going to use $50,000 to make sure that, you know, our doors at West Side High School are secured. We have approximately $1 million left. We're going to use $350,000 to renovate the baby bathrooms. This should take place this summer, so now we're in the process of getting quotes to make sure that that takes place. Also, other baby renovations, we're going to paint the lockers, we're going to paint the hallways, we're going to try to beautify Baby Middle School. And lastly, we have the Gary Middle School windows. This winter we had some issues with cold air coming into Gary Middle School, so we have allocated $100,000 for those windows. And then we have $500,000 left for our contingencies. I just want to let you all know that anytime we spend money out of this fund, it has to be approved. We're not allowed to just take the money and spend it as we see. Those projects have to be approved.
Can you please share who has to approve those projects?
DUAC and Pete Miller, yes. So that's it. I would like to entertain any questions if you all have any.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item 8 on our agenda, administrative report, Legacy Task Force Initiative, Dr. Treadwell.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Stokes, and our community members. It is a pleasure to speak about the Literacy Task Force Initiative. I had an opportunity to meet with First Lady Melton probably in January, where she shared her vision for wanting to connect with the Gary Community School Corporation to really begin to drive the passion that she has for improving literacy outcomes for our students. And wanting to bring volunteers in to really support our students in improving their literacy abilities. And so as you know, and I just want to read it because I think it's important to always situate ourselves in our own mission and vision. And as a district, we are dedicated to advancing top-tier education within a safe and organized setting, guaranteeing that our learners attain the knowledge, skills, and values vital to their development and to industrious, responsible global citizens in a technologically advanced society. We need that internet, right? And so in order to do that, we have to improve our literacy scores for our students across all of our grade levels. We know that prior to the pandemic or right during the pandemic, many of our students in kindergarten did not enroll in school. So the pandemic happened in 2021, and no, we don't want another pandemic. I'll just reiterate that. But in 21-22, kindergarten students did not return to school, which is a critical level for them to enter in to ensure that they are prepared for school beyond that 5-year age. And so that year, over 1 million students that were eligible did not enroll. In 2022, only 32% of 4th grade public students were performing at proficient levels. Only 32%.
We also know that over 130 million adults in the U.S. read only at the 6th grade level. And so, last but not least, in Gary, only 49.2% of our 3rd grade students demonstrate reading proficiency significantly below the state level of 82%. And so First Lady Melton coming to really partner with us was great timing because, as you know, having the need for people to read with students individually in class sizes of 25 and beyond can be quite challenging. And so she had able-bodied volunteers who signed up, and literally today she sent me another list of about 15 more people that are going through the background process. Yes. I was like, are they ready? She's like, no, they're just going through the process. But nonetheless, I'm excited about that because our goal is to close the literacy divide, right? And in order to do that, we need this participation. And it's not just about improving test scores. We want students to be ready to perform their civic duty as an adult, whatever work they're looking to do, really acquiring those 4 E's that Dr. Stokes likes to talk about often, right? Enlistment, enrollment, entrepreneurship, and employment, right? That's a part of our goals that we're really working towards. And so our program goals that you'll see on the screen is, 1, we want to enhance their literacy skills. We know that when students have a love for reading and they can read, they're more confident in school, right? We see them wanting to come to school. I said that the second one is fostering a love for reading. Most importantly is encouraging community engagement. We want community members to be a part of the work that we're doing here at Gary Community School Corporation. And of course, if we're doing all of these things, we're going to see the academic success. Can you keep going? And so we invited these folks out initially, I want to say it was about 4 weeks ago, to an orientation. And as I led the orientation, we outlined it in a way, no matter what your background is, you should be able to come into this space and work with our students. We wanted you to know exactly what to do. And so each school is identifying a set number of students from anywhere from grades K to 5. This pilot this year, we're only going to focus on our elementary grades. While we know we have students in middle school and high school that can definitely benefit from this, we're going to take what we learned from this year to really expand going into the next year. From there, each volunteer will have a schedule. They have identified a time that they are available. Some are like, I can come every day at any time. Others are like, I only have a 2-hour window. Schools are selecting students based on that. Once they're there, they're going to meet with individual students for 20 to 25 minutes and read to the students. And why is that important? We want students to hear fluent reading and what that should look like and sound like. Additionally, those students will select books that they're interested in and then read those books to those volunteers as well, practicing those fluency. Now, we don't want to leave them just reading to and with. You can go to the next slide. We have provided all of the volunteers with some foundational literacy information, right? My background is in education. I have a master's in reading, and so this is my background. But if you come to this work, I want you to know if you're engaging with a kindergartner, what should it look like? What type of book should they be reading? We don't want kids to come and read with you in their reading frustration. What does it look like for a student that's in the developing phase and then also our fluent phase? We also provided our volunteers with activities that they can do with before, during, and after reading. So if I'm reading a book with Cynthia, I can say, tell me who was the main character. Why is this important? Many of our standardized tests ask students to recall information, that's that comprehension. And so we wanted to give them strategies that they can use. I'm not looking for them to come in with a lesson plan or any of that. Read with and read to our students and ask these simple questions so that our students can really develop that love for reading, all while improving their ability to read. You keep going. And so, keep going. We have a light call to action. So yes, we're up to about 25 volunteers. We're asking for more. If you are interested, please email Ms. Adams at jadams@GaryCSC-K12INUS, and we would love to host you for the remainder of the school year. I'll entertain any questions from the board, should you have any.
Thank you. What is the time commitment? Is it remainder of the school year, throughout the summer?
Through May 16th will be the end. We're looking to start right after spring break, and we will go through May 16th. Again, some volunteers are 2 days a week, some 5 days a week. It really just depends on the volunteer schedule.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8.2 on our agenda, Dr. Stokes, will you give us a financial update from Mrs. Zabrowski.
Wow, I hope I can only do as good as Ms. Zabrowski. And thank you to my chiefs, by the way. We have two of our great leaders out, so my team has done a great job pivoting to support. So, Ms. Zabrowski wanted me to share at such a time as this information about taxes. So these first few slides will be about how we have taxes that have been levied and or collected. And I say levy and or collected because if you look at the bottom where we have a 1, final tax collected through 2024 is the information that we're going to show you in this column here, which is what I really want you to look at. So if you look at 2020 through 2024, this is the amount in this column that's been levied, but what we actually collected is here. Somebody asked me, why is that important? Well, why is that important, Dr. Stokes? Because we don't always get 100% of the tax money that's been levied. We don't collect 100%. It's always contingent on what our taxpayers actually pay. So while this money is important and we're happy to receive it, do know when you look here at what the net levy is and the gross levy, we're not receiving 100% of our funds. So with that being said, we often like to make a call out to our community about how important the money is to support our school system, and we ask that our community support us, and we can only be supported through the tax collection. Next slide, please. So this is information that Mrs. Zabrowski wanted you to see. You know we have several funds, debt services, operations, referendum, and I do want you to know that the operating referendum was passed by our voters in November, and we started levying the money in 2021. But these are the different rates. And if you ask or wonder why the rate has gone down ever so slightly, typically when debt falls off for us, while we always try to keep pretty much a steady rate, and if you look at these rates here, the total rates, they're pretty much steady. There's not major change. But as we started dropping some debt off, then the rate starts to drop down just a little bit, which means overall we do collect a little bit less money, but then we really don't, because if the assessed value of our property goes up, it kind of keeps us in line with what we're used to collecting. Next slide, please. So this is just a historical review of our assessed value. And as I just shared, if you look here, you see that over the years from 2021 to 2025, you see that our assessed value is actually increasing. So if anyone ever says that in Gary, things are not growing or getting better, that's not true. This is actually evidence that we're growing in Gary. Our assessed value is growing, and that is a great indication for a community. So I do want you to see the change here. Next slide, please. So I'm going to switch a little bit and give you some information, and just for clarity, I'm going to be calling out if it is what we call calendar, month to month, or what we call academic year. Our academic school year goes from July of every year through June of every year. So if I say academic or fiscal school year, that's what I mean, July through June. If I say calendar year, we all know calendar years go from January through December. So the information that you're looking at now, we wanted you to be able to see how money was spent for the calendar year of 2024 from January 2024 through this past December. And if you look, as would be expected, most of our money is actually being spent here in the blue on salaries and benefits, human capital. So you see we've spent just under $50 million to take care of our staff. You see other things like supplies, services and charges, so on and so forth. I do need you to understand that when you see transfers right here, Indiana law allows us to transfer up to 15% from our education fund to what we call our operations fund. And the reason is because education typically pays for our teachers and things that are directly impacting the classroom, more academic related, whereas operation is that oversight. And yes, we do have to have oversight. It would be like your CFO or things that deal, our maintenance department, things of that nature. I want to be transparent and tell you, while 15% is usually the cap that's allowed, Gary has been transferring a little bit more, like 18%. We're going to try to balance that out here in the near future so that we are averaging out at the 15%, but we have been transferring a little bit more because our operations fund, as you noted from Dalton and Dalton, they've been sharing this with you, our operations fund has been kind of trending really low. And so they wanted to make sure that we were able to keep things afloat. Next slide, please. I do want to share a historical review of the average daily membership. ADM stands for average daily membership. We call that our basic grant. That's the money that the state gives to us based on our student enrollment. And I want you to look, and I do need you to remember that even though, for example, you see a student enrollment with certain numbers, do understand that this particular number, for example, February's enrollment count, does not include over 300 and some odd students that we have in our preschool program. So I don't want anybody to think that, oh, we thought we were closer to 4,500 and it's saying something different. No, we don't include our preschool students because the state does not include them in the money that they give us for ADM. The only money we get for our preschool students is on the way preschool money, and that is contingent on information that our parents would need to provide about jobs or enrollment in college or things of that nature where they live. And we get maybe, I think it's $400 or something if parents are willing to do that. So with that being said, what I do want you to notice is that we did put a red box around our October versus February. But I don't want any community member or anyone to be confused about these numbers. We're not saying we got 39 million plus an additional 40. What we're saying is what we were projected to get, the 39 million, increased to 40 because our enrollment increased in February. So I want to make that clear so that people understand this particular chart. Next slide, please. So then I'm going to go back to something that Mr. Suggs asked us for at the last board meeting. He asked Ms. Dalborowski if he could get some information that she looked from how DUAB was doing it. And what they showed was some of the major fund balances all listed together. So you see these fund balances, and she tried to give you a 5-year historical view. So you see from 2020, she did want you to know that the operating referendum was passed again, as I shared, by the voters in 2020, but not levied until 2021. So that's why you see this little 1 here, and that's why you see nothing here, and then you start seeing money. So with this information, where we are or were in 2024 was this was the total amount from our historical view. Next slide, please. This is similar. This is what you just saw on the previous slide, but what she's wanting you to see here, she wants to give you a month by month with our new calendar year. So January of 2025 and now February of 2025. This is where we are in terms of the money that we have. So at February, we are at 37, just under $38 million in our reserves there. Next slide, please. And while I could go through all these slides, there are the standard slides that you see that really talk to you about a calendar year from January through December projected operational fund spending. We've not spent this money, as you see, for March moving forward, but this is the money that we have to make a projection of what we believe we're going to do with money, and so we do that for every fund. So this is just a projection for the operations fund. Next slide, please. She gave you a breakdown, even though the budget was projected at just under 22 mil, we still have 87% of that budget remaining for operations. Next slide, please. And she's showing you here where most of that money is going. And as you see, there are no transfers out of the operation fund. Our next slide, please, and I'll go quickly. This, again, is the education fund. There again, the projections for the calendar year, January through December, the projections of money. Next slide, please. Of that 32 million, we've got 80% of that money left. Next slide, please. And you will see that we did transfer money from education fund to our operations fund. Our next slide, please. And our last cash flow projection for 2025 from January through December is projected for the referendum fund. Next slide, please. And you see Here's something I do want to share about this. As you see, it says that we have 99% of that budget remaining. What Ms. Zaborowski is doing, or that she's considering, and she did a 1-month test to see if she wants to do something differently. In the past, our former leadership would actually take money from the referendum and they would deposit it into the education fund or the operations fund, and then they would pay those things that our referendum dictated that we wanted to support, like teacher raises or things of that nature. She did a test to see if it would be more feasible to just pay the money directly out of referendum, or if she wanted to continue the practice that has already been occurring. She hasn't decided which way is best just yet. I just reminded her, make sure our board and our community can understand that we are using referendum money for what it was targeted to be used for. So I can't tell you which direction she's going to go right now, but I do want you to know that's why you see that it looks like we only spent 1%. And as you see here again, she's trying to show you that salaries and benefits is what's been spent so far. So with that being said, next slide. That completes my report. I'm happy to entertain any questions, or we can save those for Ms. Zaborowski. So how would you like to?
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Stokes.
All right, you're welcome.
Item 9 on our agenda, board reports and communications. I'd like to open up the floor for board members to share.
Mr. Suggs?
Yes, please.
Just want to thank Ms. Jones for coming out and volunteering her time to participate in a PTA program. We definitely want parent involvement. There's a lot of opportunities to volunteer with the literacy program. I hope you got the information. If not, you got it? All right. Okay, we definitely, and I thank you, because sometimes parents say that they want to do something, but for you to come out to a board meeting and say, I'm here, I would like to do this. I thank you for that. Thank you, Ms. Kelly and Ms. Farmer, for what you've already done, and grab a hold of Ms. Jones. You know, she's a willing worker. So I'm just volunteering your time, right? But thank you for that. The school district is doing very well, and I just want to acknowledge the library has a lot of programs and activities that's going on for our children, especially during spring break. So I have a flyer, I passed out some of the flyers, and I'm sure Mrs. Treadwell has that. We're talking about reading and literacy. Let's just take our children to the library. It is open, and it's beautiful down there. So thank you for sharing this information. And last but not least, welcome Dr. Craig to the family of the Gary Community School Corporation. And we thank you for just coming to our district. That's it, Mr. Suggs. Oh, one other thing. Urban League Scholarship deadline. I forgot. The Urban Leagues, I had to switch that. The deadline for scholarships for graduating seniors is March 16th. So I will send out another flyer to you, Dr. Stokes.
Thank you.
So that you follow protocol. Send it to Dr. Stokes first. Just to remind students to finish their applications in the system. Sometimes they stop at that essay, they'll upload everything else, but that essay sometimes prohibits them from having a complete application. Thank you, Mr. Suggs.
Thank you, Dr. McLeod. Any other comments, board members?
Mr. Suggs. Well, first of all, I would like to say welcome to, I'm sorry, Dr. Craig. Sorry about that. And then also thank you for all the presentations and things like that. But it's just one thing that just kind of sat uneasy with me, and I just kind of wanted to address it publicly. And that is I don't want any misinformation being in the community that the school district is illegally expelling students, as that is definitely not true. I also don't want any misinformation out there that we're the only school district that doesn't here have expulsion hearings, because that's not true. And we also are not the only district that charges for FOIA requests at a copy fee of only 10 cents per page. And again, that's not true at all. And so I just didn't want any misinformation floating around in the community. And I just felt the need to address those things. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Additional comments?
I would like to say how much I appreciate the youth coming from West Side, and I have not been this close to gold medalists, so it's always nice to be a part of it. I appreciate the work the young man is doing with them as well. I was very happy with the presentations from everyone on the team as a whole, and I appreciate all that you are doing to continue to make this district what it is. And last but not least, although you are not Ms. Orosky, you did an excellent job with the numbers. And I'm just happy to be a part of this team. I'm really happy with what we're trying to do with literacy. I appreciate the PowerPoint that was there and the statistics, so we can see those numbers in terms of it's not just our children, it's children across the United States that have struggled with this. It's something that we all can do to help make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just make one quick comment. I do want to welcome our new staff member. We look forward to seeing all the great things you can do. And I'm just so thrilled to say that we are done with all of the policies. And but it's been a learning experience for me, so I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, board members. I want to take a quick moment, document that I have shared with each of you electronically, so you should be receiving this. But I received a notice celebrating our state senator and our colleague, Mr. Mark Spencer. And the Heritage Committee has asked for the board to review an opportunity for a naming right of the auditorium at Westside High School. And so I would like for board members to take a look at this and be prepared to make a decision on this. But it was just a great thing that brought a smile to my face, the opportunity to honor someone who's given so much to this community. And I just wanted to take this time to share that this has been presented to us, and we will take it in from here. Item 10 on our agenda, Superintendent's Report, Dr. Stokes.
Thank you, President Suggs. I want to share what I always call matters of corporation interest. So the first thing I wanted to share with you is join our team. We are hiring, as we've shared. Mrs. Crystal has put for you a little just video, and I'll just speak while it's kind of going through, to show you how you would actually go onto our website. It's just showing you how you would go onto the website and how you would actually make application to some of the various career opportunities that we have. On the right side of the screen, we've listed just a few of those career opportunities, and we truly welcome you to go on and to apply if you believe that, first of all, you love children, because we're in the children business. That you love children, but more than that, that you believe that you have the gift of supporting them and transitioning their lives to be better. We're not always concerned about where you've been, but where you're going. So we want to make sure that how our children show up is important to us, and if you believe you can help us move them from where they are to a better place, we welcome you to apply. The next thing that I wanted to show you is to remind you of has to do with testing updates. As many of you know, we are very much in the assessment/testing season. We have iLearn, as you see, which is our 3rd grade through 8th grade test. That is the state's ability to understand how our students are performing on what we call standardized assessments. We also have the ASVAB, which will be occurring, which deals with military, is their assessment, vocational assessment for the military. We also have what we call iRead, which is the readiness assessment to help us determine if our third graders are reading at the level that they should be and comprehending what they are reading. I do want to make it clear that there is new legislation that basically says that when third graders are not reading where they should be, there is the potential that they might have to repeat third grade. So this is very important to us. And with this call out, parents, please, I implore you to make sure that your children have rest, that their brains are clear and free of anything that would inhibit their ability to show up and show their best on the assessment. This is very important. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is Friday, March 21st, Parent-Teacher Conference. As the young ladies shared with us earlier, it is very important that our parents be involved and be knowledgeable about what is going on with their child, or as we like to say, their particular scholar, our children. Please know that we have parent-teacher conferences. If you are not able to attend face-to-face, please reach out to your teacher and or the building administrator about an opportunity to perhaps get a 5 to 10 minute slot. You must be on time to get a 5 to 10 minute slot where you can either join by Teams or Zoom and hear information. You'd be surprised how much information you can get in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but you have to be on time if you take a slot. With that being said, it's spring break time coming up, March 24th through the 28th. We encourage our students, our scholars, our staff, and our community to know that there are lots of things that are going on over spring break, but we do want you to take the opportunity to relax, to take a mental health break, and to just take care of yourself and your family so that you can come back invigorated and refreshed after the spring break. With that being said, I just want to move on as always and give you a draft agenda for our next April 10th, 2025 meeting. There are a couple things that I do want to draw your attention to. Under information items, we will be having some information about our library board update. So our board members will be sharing some information about the library board. We also have information about professional development, and so that will be a administrative report that we will share about what we're doing to support professional development for our staff and district leaders. And that is what I have. I will give it back to you, Mr. Sutherland.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. I appreciate the attendance and the engagement in the room on tonight's board meeting, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you again.